So, I saw the tail end of this StarCraft 2 match as it was being played live, and really all I could think of was how in the world did we get to this position? What I've got for you today is a crazy match of Terran versus Protoss where we find ourselves on the map Gresvin. Yes, once again on Gresvin. It seems like all of the epic games lately are being played on Gresvin, but what we've got for you is a Terran versus Protoss. We're in the top left-hand corner, playing right here with the red Terran SCVs. From Poland, we have Spirit. And his opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Protoss pieces from South Korea. We're looking inside the domain of Creator. Alrighty, now this particular match, it was played at Gamers 8. This was a $400,000 tournament, which is nothing to scoff at, and both of these guys really wanted to win this game. Now Spirit in general, he's the type of guy who likes playing long, drawn-out macro games. A lot of StarCraft 2 players, when they are ahead, they will try and win the game, but Spirit oftentimes doesn't really want to take the risk of, well, putting all of his eggs in one basket and going for an all-out attack. Instead, he likes to expand behind or, for example, tech up to higher tier units. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why this game, it goes as long as it does. I think there's like I think it's set on the replay screen like 48 minutes? A Terran versus Protoss on Gresvin? Like, yeah, there's a lot of bases on this map, but there's not that many bases. I've got a feeling for like the second half of this game, okay, maybe not the second half, maybe the last 10 minutes of this game, the entire map is literally gonna be mined out. Now, even better, for me at least, I did see the tail end of this game, so I did see like a lot of capital ships flying around. Let's leave it at that. I don't really want to spoil you, but I actually don't remember who wins. So I saw like, I don't know, 20 StarCraft 2 matches on one day, and I actually don't remember exactly who ended up winning this one. So I'm excited to find out exactly, together with you, how we got to that late game position and who ends up winning. That was actually the series that Spirit played against Elaser as well on the B stream. And this was a best of 3 that literally was more than 2 hours long. So a best of 3 series of Terran versus Zerg that literally goes over 2 hours in duration. That's pretty ridiculous. That's not something we normally see. Anyways, so what do we have here? We've got ourselves a Reaper into a Marine. Nothing all too crazy there. Command center on the low ground as well. We had an engineering bay block on the other side of the map, but Creator, he spotted it nice and early. He's going to be able to get 2 adepts going here in the earlier stages of this particular match here too. So that is going to allow him to push back that Reaper relatively easily. Now, I don't think Creator is as keen to play a long, drawn-out game. I mean, Creator is one of the very best Protoss players in the world. He's perfectly capable of playing the late game, but I think he's very much so the type of guy who prefers ending a game a little bit earlier on. So I wonder how he feels about that, right? Like, I mean, when you're playing a long match of StarCraft 2, stamina is a real issue. You really need to be in tip-top shape to be able to focus for such a long duration, especially when you're playing not just like one match. You're not even just playing one best of 3, but you're doing multiple series on a big stage in one day, right? So you have to focus for many, many hours on end. And Spirit does this all day, every day. But I don't know how keen Creator is to play a match like that. But I guess he doesn't really have a choice every once in a while, right? You have to sometimes play the late game, even if you're not necessarily keen on doing so. And I can tell you from personal experience, I'm not really somebody who likes playing the late game very much myself. If I could skip the late game in most games, that's exactly what I do. Alrighty, so there's the second barracks coming up. We've got a 1-1-1 over here for Spirit with a command center on the low ground, of course. We're going to be going into a second barracks here already, so he's going to be teching up before adding on a third command center. But don't you worry, there's going to be a third command center in this game, I'm sure. Alright, in the meantime, we have a robo facility already on the other side of the map. Nothing all too crazy here, actually, for Creator, so not opting to go for the Stargate start. He's not opting to go for the Blink Stalker opener either. Those are the 2 most popular options in this particular matchup. Instead, Creator is just going to go straight gateways. Yeah, into a Robo Bay. So that is a 4-minute robotic bay. That's going to allow him to go straight into Disruptors. He can go straight into Colossus as well. If he really feels like it, he could even go straight into Observer Speed. Don't think that's ideal, but at the very least, he now does see this medevac moving out, and I don't think that Spirit knows that he's been spotted yet at this point, although he might be able to spot the little blur here, right? So this is all that Spirit sees in this game. He doesn't get a notification on the minimap, but it is technically visible, and when it flies through the center of your main like that, that's a very good shot that you do notice it. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, why a lot of the StarCraft 2 pro gamers play on the lowest graphic settings. They don't really need all those shiny, polishy bits right here on the Marines, for example. All they really want to see is those cloaked units flying through their main base. And When you're playing on the lowest graphics settings, you don't get any of the clutter. Alrighty, so it's actually straight Colossus. Fair enough. In the Protoss versus Zerg matchup, Disruptor drops are pretty popular, but Creator is not going to opt for anything like that. He's just going straight Colossus with extended thermal lens as well as +1 ground weapons. So you know what? Maybe Creator isn't necessarily keen to play a super long game, at least in my mind. It also doesn't seem like he really cares that much here. I mean, maybe he's noticed by studying his opponent's replays and studying his opponent's previous, well, matches, maybe he's noticed a certain weakness in Spirit's early game defense that he feels like he can exploit, but this is not really a Protoss build where you're gonna harass your opponent at all, right? Instead, yeah, we're just gonna opt for a quick third Nexus over here. We do have that Widowmine drop ready to go in, but it's just sort of hanging out. Both players playing a very conservative style. So that Observer, by the way, is now looking around. Yeah, he wants to know, where in the world did that Medevac drop go? I'm assuming here it's gonna move in right as this Raven drops down a couple auto turrets as well. I think that makes the most sense. Are we gonna move it? No, we're just gonna hang it out over there. I guess the reason why he's not really committing here is because Spirit knows he's been spotted, so he must have noticed a little blur. And because of that, he's just gonna come in at a moment where Creator is gonna least expect it. The problem is, of course, that dealing a lot of damage to your opponent's mineral line at like the 5-minute mark is a lot more significant than dealing damage to your opponent's mineral line at like the 8-minute mark, just because they will have a lot more economy already, and therefore any lost workers can be replaced much easier as well. Anyhow, third command center, it's gonna finish up here momentarily. We've got ourselves a triple wreck start right here. Well, a bunch of Marines, a bunch of Widow Mines, Medevacs coming out as well. This is apparently the first time where Spirit really feels like he can go for an attack, but the thing is, right, this Raven is absolutely critical. There's only one of them though, and it dropped off a couple of those auto turrets, and if it doesn't have enough energy for interference matrices, it's really difficult to disable those Colossi, and those Colossi, they have range. Yeah, they're gonna absolutely tear this Terran army apart, so not really a whole lot gets done here. There's another Widowmine drop now heading towards the right side of the map as well, so Spirit is setting himself up for a move. Finally, that Medevac pilot wakes up, but Creator has been sitting with Stalkers over here for a while. He doesn't have Blink yet, so he can't go in, but I don't believe this is going to do a lot of damage. Maybe the ones in the mineral line over here, though, can get some work done. Creator not paying attention there at all. The classic 1-2 punch. Perfect cleanup over there in the main base. Well, nothing gets cleaned up over here on the low ground. 11 probes here in total, but like I said, or I guess 12 probes with that scouting worker maybe in the earlier stage of the game. We have a little bit of an hallucinated Phoenix over here too, trying to get some vision, but anyways, like I said, killing a bunch of workers a few minutes ago, just like that, is a lot more impactful. If you kill 11 workers at the 4-minute mark, like when that Medevac first got across, it is gonna fire a second time. Alright, that's a little bit sloppy. It is very, very noticeable. At this point, though, Creator can chrono boost a couple times and he'll probably be fine. Also because Spirit is not really set up to punish his opponent, right? Although, like I already mentioned, that is usually the way that he likes to play. Nice little bit of pickup micro there. Tries to get the Widowmine. Doesn't get it. Only a little bit of shields damage taken. Fourth Nexus here in the meantime on the right side of the map is going to finish up as well. And yeah, especially like that, Creator is going to be able to get his economy back nice and quickly. This time around, we have a Marine Marauder drop coming in, moving down towards the bottom left-hand corner of the map, and I think it's gonna make a move straight on over right here towards the main base. We've got ourselves some Immortals coming up. So Templar Archives, we'll probably see Storm, or at the very least some Archon production. Now, this is right around the same time as the very first Ghosts get queued up, so Ghosts usually do disable this sort of army pretty nicely. But of course, the Ghosts are always a nice option. So here's the Medevac drop. At the very least, he's gonna try and do a bit of a Doom drop here. A lot of Stalkers available though. Yeah, that's one Medevac going down right away. Second Medevac also ends up falling. We have a snipe on the shield battery, maybe a probe or two, but that is really not what you're hoping for. That is gonna be the end of this Medevac drop and all of the units that were included. Nice little pick off right there for Creator, and that puts him certainly comfortably back into this match. Spirit already going to into the air attacks right here. That is interesting. You'd imagine you'd want to go at least for a few siege tank upgrades, but I guess we really want to be getting some of those Viking, volleys going on the Colossi. It's nice, of course, to have some of that sustainable backline, but apparently that's not really what we're aiming for in this particular game. Especially when you're always playing long matches. Usually late game StarCraft 2, it's all about flying units. So getting these upgrades going nice and early may just be a little bit more optimal. But you have to be careful, of course. You can't really be too generous here with your upgrading and not just have the straight up damage output. I mean, having some armor, for example, on Widow Mines can be really helpful as well. But for now, it's really just Marines, Marauders, Medevacs, a couple Ghosts, a Siege Tank or two just to defend against Zealot run-bys, and well, I guess we're ready for another starport. Yeah, second starport coming up already in this game. Okay. Observer is gonna look around, get sniped right away because of that Raven. The Raven, of course, besides harassing the opponent and disabling the Colossi, it is also a detector, so nice little bit of Blink Stalker micro there. Creator's gonna be able to run away. And now the Disruptors are coming out as well. Okay. Fourth Command Center, growing a little planetary fortress head on top of itself. Always nice to have. Again, helps a lot against Zealot run-bys. That is something that Creator is certainly going to be executing here as this game progresses. Another medevac drop heading down towards the bottom section of the map. Yeah, Stalkers want to move in, but there's way too many Marines and Marauders. You guys are not going to achieve anything. Maybe the Siege Tank can kill a couple of the SCVs for you. Now, this could actually be big, though. Another pick-off on these medevacs could be massive. Okay. Luckily here for Spirit, he was paying attention. So he ends up losing one medevac there, but the EMP certainly forced those Stalkers to back off, because they would lose that fight if they decide to stick around. There's the Fleet Beacon, though, coming up. Or, well, the Terran Fleet Beacon. And I guess this is the Protoss Fusion Core building as well on the other side of the map. Both players setting themselves up for some larger units. That Siege Tank, together with the bunker here, is going to be able to get rid of some of these Zealots as well that are slicing up the SCVs. But here's a big fight happening in the middle of the map, yeah. Marines and Marauders coming in from every angle. This is actually very tricky to micro here properly. Colossi need to be shooting their lasers as often as possible. You can see the EMPs really helping out a lot when it comes to softening up this army. But this is a very ground-heavy army, right? So that is exactly why Spirit here is making the transition towards both the Liberators as well as the Advanced Ballistics. He's going to be able to get himself those Liberators with the extra range going here very soon. And this is an army that is incredibly susceptible to that additional range. And that's exactly why Creator is already adding on a couple of carriers here too. Storm is going to finish up momentarily, despite the fact that Ghosts are available. Storm can, of course, still be helpful, especially when you have the Templars sitting around in a prism. It will still allow you to at least maintain some of their energy, but at the risk of losing everything inside of the prism when the prism goes down. Either way, 5th Command Center now, set up here as well in the middle of the map. This is quite a bit later than the 5th Nexus here of Creator. But Creator, of course, can't really make that many more workers at this point. He's already sitting at 84. So both players have essentially got all of the economy that they would ever want. We're now getting into the position as well where we can start thinking about things like, for example, Observer speed, Prism speed, that sort of thing. And apparently we're even thinking of a Colossus drop. Now that's not something I see all too often. The words Colossus drop, they feel weird in my mouth, okay? I don't really like that. It feels a bit... Anyways, we've got a Dark Templar transition now coming up as well for Creator. Warping at a couple of those units can be really nice. Liberator coming in. But this is where things get a little bit scary, right? Because now suddenly those Liberators are out before Protoss really has any proper anti-air. As we all know, those carriers take a long time to produce, although we do get it here eventually. Careful, don't lose the prism to a... Okay, missile turret, we're good. But I guess this is a one-way trip. Yeah. Where are we going? I think we've forgotten about this. Okay, well... we didn't completely forget about it. He was busy here microing at home. I was paying attention on the minimap, so... we didn't really miss any significant engagement. But this is a strange little situation here. Creator... Alright, trying his very best. Disruptor's now flying around as well, though, trying to just hurt this army to the best of his abilities. Those carriers are gonna be a complete necessity now, though. With the Liberator count growing, it's difficult for Protoss to really engage this, and you can see already so much value. That Colossus, though. Yeah, it's being, well, I guess tickled away at by the Liberator. It's gonna get cleaned up eventually, but it's gonna take a while. It's actually dealing quite a bit of damage. In the main fight, I guess it's just soaking up too much supply, and he wants to replace that supply with carriers. Now, this is a good snipe right here. Spirit is definitely going to be able to get that. He now also has a tactical nuke flying across the screen. This is something, of course, that Creator can see. Okay, yeah, there it does end up getting cancelled. In the meantime, we had a fight over here as well at the bottom. But nothing all too crazy. There's that Ghost Academy. We'll have to see if there's going to be more nukes flying across. And just like Protoss is now getting whatever upgrade they want, we now also see the same thing happening here for the Terran. Building armor together with the high-sec auto tracking. This is some additional armor on the structures. This is +1 range on things like missile turrets and planetary fortresses. Important upgrades in the late game. Definitely not something you want to forget, but generally speaking, not something you get in the earlier stages of the game. Unless maybe you watch one too many thermal videos and you really want to be getting the high-sec auto tracking early. But nah, generally this is not an upgrade you get until you get the 3-3 research done. Not a Widowmine drop. No, not a Widowmine drop actually. It's a triple Marauder 2 Marine drop instead. There's a Dark Templar here that does see this coming in from a mile away. This is what I mean though, right? So Spirit just got himself a really nice Nexus snipe, right? He dealt a significant blow to his opponent. Rather though than going for another attack on the back of this, I mean, he will test the waters, but really what he's doing to push himself further forward is add on additional command centers, add on additional starports, go for the Yamato gun research, build another command center down here, throw another tactical nuke in a random location to try and hopefully catch your... Ooh, there's the shadow. Cool. Anyways, to try and hopefully catch your opponent off guard. He doesn't really... I'm not saying he doesn't have that killer instinct, right? He just likes playing the game, and he must have had many matches where he does play more aggressively and it just doesn't go his way. So this is what he has determined is the best approach, and in this particular game, I think it makes a lot of sense as well. I do think sometimes he gets a little bit too defensive, if I can be critical, but yeah, it's the way he likes playing the game, and it's a completely legitimate style to play. It just does mean that sometimes the games last a little bit longer, but that's totally fine. We have delays all the time because of technical issues, right? That happens. It's not like Mr. Spirit is delaying a tournament single-handedly by himself either. Anyways, nice snipe over here by those Vikings. Going after the carriers, dealing a bunch of damage. Now here's the real kicker in this match though. This replay, it goes on for another 30 minutes or so? What in the world is gonna happen over the next 30 minutes? I have no idea. Because this game, I mean, it is well established right now. It's a well-developed game. Both players are essentially already at their ultimate armies. How in the world does this go on for another half hour? That's also, by the way, why I'm pacing my commentary a little bit. Because sometimes I get a little bit too crazy, and then I know, you know, if it's a really long match, it's not particularly great for me. My voice starts getting a little bit icky, and like in general, not really the way we wanna commentate matches. Plus, I know that apparently a lot of people actually, I've been told this many times over the years. Apparently, a lot of people watch my videos to fall asleep. So apparently, what you do is you load up one of my casts, and you just sort of have me mumbling in the background, and that's how I think it's a compliment. I'm not 100% if it is, but yeah, I think it's probably a compliment. Anyways, I watch a lot of Bob Ross videos for the same reasoning. Okay, we're good. I'll be Bob Ross, sure. Just, you know, minus any of the artistic talents, but that's okay. Anyhow, maybe what I'm saying though, having the more laid back commentary is gonna help out those guys. We gotta do some ASMR commentary instead. I have to increase my microphone gain a little bit, but then I can whisper. Anyways, we've got ourselves a little bit of a push forward here by Creator, who I really didn't think this was gonna be the approach he was gonna take though. So I mentioned earlier, ooh, nice storm. I mentioned earlier that in general, Creator doesn't really strike me as a guy who wants to play this sort of game, but he clearly set himself up for that. Like, rushing out the Colossus play, it basically means I don't want to die to anything dumb. Right? Like, this is not the game I want to play. I don't want to lose to anything silly. Instead, I am just more than happy to play a long, drawn-out macro game against you. And I didn't really expect that. I sort of assumed that it was going to be Spirit who forced the issue, but no. This is Creator welcoming it. Gotta do some Yamato guns and then teleportation once again. Those are the only two abilities that Battlecruisers have these days. I was watching a video actually not too long ago of a Wings of Liberty match. And in Wings of Liberty, the Battlecruisers had energy. Like, they had an actual mana bar. And it turns out, if they have a mana bar, you can feedback the Battlecruiser. So, you can use feedback from the High Templar on a spellcaster. Yeah, I think making it cooldown based instead makes a whole lot of sense. A little bit of a push over here. One of the world's strangest spellcasters, that's for sure. Anyhow, the same for the Thor, actually. The Thor had like a 350mm cannon. And it also had like an energy bar. Putting even more value onto spellcasters, I suppose. Alright. Even Archons at this point are being sacrificed. That's when you know the game is becoming a little crazy. I think these units are also just being sent out to their deaths. Once upon a time, these lads were made as a stepping stone to not die against the Terran timing attack. But I think at this point you are just, yeah, just soaking up too much supply. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Both players already reducing their supply counts in general too when it comes to the workers. So we only have 60 probes, or sorry, 60 SCVs remaining and 70 probes as well. Yeah, he just wants to lose these immortals. He's just giving them away. At least he got a kill right there on a command center, so that's actually pretty nice. Okay. So, +3/+3 is finishing up for our Protoss. He already has the +3 attack done. Same can be said for the ground units. The only thing I would like to see is the forges to research the shields, because we have a lot of money for it, but he hasn't actually researched it yet. Apparently now Spirit has also decided it's about time we start getting some more of those ground mech upgrades. A few carriers going in for some harassment here. Interesting decision. The Vikings immediately move on over in that direction. Obviously though, those units can indeed be recalled back home. And I think that's what we probably need to do. Yeah, no. Oof, okay. Loses just one carrier and about half the health right here on the other. So do you think it's worth going for a Mothership at this point in the game? Is the Mothership worth it here? One way we've seen the Mothership being used effectively over the last few months, somewhat effectively, is to use it as like a second recall location. So the Mothership has an ability that allows you to recall units towards it. And obviously the Nexus has the same thing, but it turns out this thing I think is called Strategic Recall. The Mothership ones is called the Mass Recall, or it's reverse. Anyways, what I'm getting at is though that they do not share a cooldown, so you can use that quite effectively to, yeah, create another opportunity for you to get aggressive if you want to, right? And to reposition your army really quickly. Tactical jump is going to keep some of those units alive. Now, as we've seen many times over the last couple of months on Grezven, the maps and the bases that are really critical on this map are the ones right over here at the bottom and the one over here in the top left. The one that Spirit is currently trying to acquire. Generally speaking, all of the other bases are accounted for. Maybe there's a chance that Spirit can consider mining this base over here. Any of the other bases, though, are going to be very difficult to acquire. But it's the base over here at, like, the... What is this? Like, the 11-ish o'clock position? Going up against, like, the 5 o'clock-ish position? I had someone ask me, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned this in a video, but I'm not entirely over this yet. Although we might have a big fight coming up, so I'll mention it in just a little bit. Yeah, hold up. Okay. Nice. Little bit of damage. Battlecruiser apparently with 1 HP. That's kind of nuts. I did not realize that apparently if you have a certain amount of Tempest shots, the Battlecruiser remains at just a single hit point. Anyways, I had somebody ask me what I meant with 3 o'clock position on the map or 9 o'clock position of the map. And I found out that day when I mentioned it on the live stream. You should go to, by the way, go ahead and follow me. Twitch.tv/LowkoTV. I stream pretty much every single day. A lot of people don't seem to realize that I stream like 40 hours a week. Anyways, they mentioned, right, that the 9 o'clock position and 3 o'clock position and whatever else I use in videos doesn't make sense because a lot of younger people do not understand analog clocks. And I'll be honest, as a bit of a watch nerd myself, that hurt my feelings. Yeah, that hurt my feelings a little bit. So, I'm not even gonna explain it. Most of my audience is, most of my audience are StarCraft fans that have been playing this game for quite a while, okay? I'm not saying you're old, but I'm just saying you're mature. You're aged. But hey, you know, with alcohol, with liquor, right? It's considered a good thing, so don't worry about it. No, I don't think most of my viewers will need explainers on how analog clocks work, but apparently this is a real problem. So if I plan on casting games for like another, I don't know, I don't really see myself not casting games. Even if it's not StarCraft 2, I would like to cast games for a long time to come. There's a nice little bit of harassment, but yeah, we're gonna have to recall. Alright. Anyways, maybe that's something I'll have to keep in mind, is what I'm saying. That at some point, people will not be able to understand analog clocks. Although I find that really hard to imagine. I feel like that is insane. I honestly feel like that's a little bit crazy. I remember, though, that in elementary school, they taught me how clocks work. Oh, that's no longer my correct camera hotkey. Apparently, the Ghost Academy has been destroyed, and it's been moved on over in a different location. He's trying to fish for the Ghost right now, but he's not gonna get it. Spirit getting a nice little detonation here, while at the same time... Alright, he's losing a bunch of stuff here at the bottom. Vikings now clumping together. Look at the amount of stuff, by the way, on this map. We have enough Vikings, apparently, now to one-shot this as well, which is kind of cool. So the Ghost Academies are sprinkled around the bases now. Okay, not bad, though. Got a feeling that this one is not going to live for that much longer. Nice bit of harassment here by Creator, who's doing a phenomenal job shutting down pretty much everything that the opponent has had. Yeah, we can definitely kill this. Yeah, just stand and fight, I think. Why do the interceptors suck? I'm actually a little surprised with how little damage those interceptors are dealing to the +3 upgrades here. Well, eventually he does win that fight, but it's gonna cost him quite a few of those carriers. Don't know if you guys should be hugging, but... Alright. Eventually, though, that fight is won. A little bit messy there, actually. So I guess that's one of the main reasons why, or one of the main reasons, rather, why we are mixing in so many of those Tempests here, too. Another tactical nuke is flying across the map. This time around, though, I don't think there's a whole lot Creator can do about it, and this is actually quite painful. I mean, the carriers over here are going down. Nuke is going to land. Carriers here at the bottom of the map are going down. Yeah, they're now disappeared. So the Tempests here are very important. Anyways, if you look right now at the resources, though, that are available for both players, Spirit has spent a lot of his money in, I guess we can call it infrastructure. He's got tons of command centers, a lot of static defense, but he doesn't really have, okay, he doesn't really have nearly as much of a bank. So if you look at the army value now in the top left-hand corner, Spirit's army is more expensive, but he's not even remotely close to being able to rebuild this force if they end up trading. Creator at this point has nearly 15,000, a little bit more than 15,000 even, in the bank. That command center is not going to happen. Same, I guess, for this Nexus down here at the bottom. But anyways, if we, if we end up trading here, it's going to be really nice for Creator. So I think that's also why he's just a little bit more eager to fight. He knows very well that he's in a lot of trouble if he does take a wrong engagement, because Yamato guns can put in a lot of work. There's another tactical nuke, once again flying to the same spot. The Void Rays right now, I think they're mostly coming up just to try and deal with those armored Terran units. Another tactical nuke. We're just doing them back to back to back. I actually really quite like that. So, a tactical nuke is 100 minerals, 100 gas. 100 minerals, 100 gas is something that the Terran player can afford right now, but he's killing a lot more every single time. Yeah. That's cool. So those are some efficient nukes. I mean, the ones that land anyways. I think overall, it's probably just barely a net positive. Just like in the earlier stages of the game with the engineering bay block, we now have all the way at the bottom of the map, at the 5 o'clock position, okay, I'm doubling down. We've got ourselves a little bit of a block over here too, that Nexus cannot be built. Shield battery together with a photon cannon to try and just deny this, I guess. Landed Viking here as well, getting rid of whatever. Dark Templar has been tasked with slicing up the supply depot, but this game, it is slowing down. Spirit, though, is setting himself up a nice little row of missile turret. A concave of missile turrets. Not something we very commonly have. The Vikings here are the real scary unit, though, right? So, oh my god, we're gonna do a big jump. Oh my god, apparently this is the moment he decides to just jump with all of the Battlecruisers. Instant recall as well by Creator, who wants to get on out of here. We do have the prismatic alignment activated, but mass Yamato guns go down. A lot of Protoss units end up fighting. Big Stalker warp in as well. I think we're just trying to pick off as many of those Battlecruisers as possible. That didn't look like that amazing of a fight right there initially for Creator, but I think it worked out just fine. Yeah, another tactical nuke though is gonna try and land in the middle of this Protoss army. A very ambitious goal, but it can certainly work out. At the very least, it's distracting a lot of those Protoss units right now as the Ghost does get sniped. Was that a net positive right there for Mr. Spirit? Because he's the one that made that aggressive move. I mean, it barely moved the needle. I guess it was okay, but very dangerous for sure, especially when you look at the banks that both players have. So apparently, the late game meta in Terran versus Protoss right now, and what I saw when I saw the tail end of, at least, I think this is like when I looked at the game or whatever, I'm not exactly sure, but apparently the late game meta is for Protoss players to try and bait in the technical jump, and then, or sorry, yeah, for the Protoss players to bait the technical jump from the Terran, and then for the Protoss player to teleport away. Be it towards a Mothership, so that's exactly what Creator is doing, or towards a Nexus itself. So, you wait until the opponent jumps you, and then you jump away. So basically, you're just jumping. You're basically skipping over one another. That's the plan, okay? That's what we want to do. Try to get a bunch of value in. Those Void Rays are actually putting in a lot of work. It feels to me like the real damage dealers in this party, though, even though this is like, you know, where most of the supply is at, is those Vikings. Like, those Vikings picking off the long-ranged Protoss units here is really, really nice. Like, every single time we see the Vikings engaging a Tempest, I mean, maybe the Tempests are going to kill a Viking, but the Vikings will kill a Tempest, and since the Tempest is way more expensive than a Viking, it's a good trade for the Terran for sure. Static defense is coming up right now, so both players apparently have enough minerals in the bank to feel comfortable about this. We do, of course, have the Revelation ability. My god, dude. We can basically two-shot a planetary fortress. That is not bad at all. Another tactical nuke flying across the map. The nukes are actually what, like, make this all so much better, though, for the Terran. He should have cloaked that. Okay, I was gonna say. Yeah, the nukes is what makes this all so much better, and why the late game army here for Terran does feel a lot more cost efficient. It's not even... Oh, nice bit of pickup micro there. He picked up the low HP Ghost. Every unit matters to Spirit, okay? I would want to be a Ghost in Spirit's army. Yeah, I feel like I matter. Anyways, those interactions are all very tight, and the Ghost definitely provides a lot of late game value. Be it with EMPs, or be it with tactical nukes. At the very least, it forces the issues, right? Because... Oh, okay, that's another one. Yeah. So we have 22 Vikings. And I guess that's the magic number. Maybe a couple more would not be bad, but apparently 22 is enough to target a Tempest and to kill it in one hit. And apparently 13 Tempest is enough to two-shot a fully upgraded command center. Which is kind of cool as well. Anyways, this time around, the nuke is not flying from one of those two Ghost Academies. Instead... It's moving on over here. We have a fight over here at the bottom of the map as well. That base is not going to happen. This nuke, however, is... That's a couple of Stalkers also going down. We're just going to continue the nuking. Alright. This is always dangerous. Because obviously when you get your entire army caught there, you're in a lot of trouble. He actually canceled it. Okay, here we go again. Tactical nuke. Are we going to recall? We are going to recall. As long as you recall... By the time that the what do you call them, the Yamato guns can land, it's all good. Now he's fighting on the Protoss aesthetic defense. And again, Creator does end up losing a lot of units there. But it's not like an overwhelming victory in my mind. Still, that was good. Yeah, that was good. We don't really see, like normally in StarCraft 2, when we have like an army winning over another army, the opposing army that loses just gets absolutely wiped off the map. Right? But this is both players sort of just tickling each other. It's like a tickle war. They're trying their very best. They're dealing a bunch of damage. But it's no overwhelming landslide victory. Ghost over there apparently gets down, so apparently we're not going to be seeing the nuke land that time around. And now those units are taken care of as well. Okay. In my mind, though, it does kind of feel like an uphill battle for Protoss in this particular situation of the game. Because they can't really push for the win. And even though they would like to have a straight up fight, Terran can outmaneuver them pretty nicely. Tactical Jump is actually one of those abilities that is relative, like, it's more discovered now, but at least in my mind, is not really something that we've seen for, like, the first, I mean, it wasn't around in the early days of StarCraft 2, right? But basically, it's one of those abilities that hasn't been as figured out as many of the other spells. Like, for example, Blink Stalkers, that's something we see basically every game. But blinking Battlecruisers, we see that every once in a while. And it seems to me like maybe Tactical Jump is a little too good. I'm not exactly sure, though. I don't think the jury is out on that one yet, but it does feel like an ability that gives Terran a lot of mobility in the later stages of the game. It's cool when you have like 1 or 2 of them, but when you have like a 20, the Battlecruisers flying around, it feels like it's a very slippery army and one that Protoss can't really chase in any way. Like, Protoss doesn't have like fungal growth, right? So for example, as Zerg, you can punish it by throwing a fungal growth on it, and if you have a hello, Storm? Oh, that's so risky. Okay, well, he gets the Oracle at least, but that could have been a massive Storm, all those units. With Zerg, if you throw a fungal growth on a group of Battlecruisers, or any unit really that has a movement ability, the movement ability gets cancelled temporarily, so you cannot use it. Would be kind of cool if Protoss had something similar like that. Okay. Yeah, no, these units are not going to achieve that much, but at least the Nexus now lives. Here we go again, though. Big recall. Big tactical jump. Okay, now he's fighting on top of the static defense. Creator does have a lot of his army supply, though, caught up right now in the bottom of the map, which I actually quite like here from Spirit. So, splitting off a couple of his Battlecruisers to harass on the other side of the map, to then pull away most of the Protoss army, to then jump the Battlecruisers back into the main army, and then to do the big jump with the other Battlecruisers to try and create a split, I guess, on the Protoss' forces. It's clever. Okay, apparently we do not quite have enough Tempest here to one-shot Battlecruisers. I think we need like 15 or so for those. That would be really nice. Or maybe we do have enough, but they just weren't all firing in unison. Yeah, I think we do have enough, I was gonna say. Because these Tempests don't mess around. Okay. Tactical jump flying across the map again. Hello. This command center is burning down. This time around, the nuke is over here at the bottom of the map. Spirit actually wants to gobble up both of those mineral lines. So even though we're doing a little bit of a tickle war with both players just, you know, like hurting each other a little bit, but not really causing permanent damage, Spirit is not playing this nice and fair, okay? If he wanted to play this nice and fair, this is his base, this is the Protoss' base, but Spirit wants them both. Nuke number 79. Flying across the screen. Trying, there goes the shadow. Sometimes we've seen a little nuke shadow. Not something we see on most maps, but kind of cool. It's a bunch of static defense. Good guy Spirit cancels them for the opponent. Very kind. Okay, and this Nexus now here at the bottom is gone. There's a snipe on a Ghost, or sorry, on a High Templar as well, but at the same time we had a snipe right there from the Tempest on the command center. Revelation here allowing those Tempests to shoot at their maximum range, but the Vikings still very helpful. Scans are also, by the way, incredibly good, right? Much easier to throw a scan down than it is to get the correct revelation on exactly what it is you want to snipe. Okay. 11 orbital commands, by the way, with 4 more command centers just sort of flying around here. That's a lot of orbitals. You can have scans for days, and I guess he doesn't really need this many SCVs anymore either. So Creator is sitting on 20 probes right now, which I think is about the appropriate worker count at this point. I mean, it may even be too many. It obviously depends on who ultimately gets to get this base over here at the bottom, right? I think this one is basically taken care of. This expansion cannot really be harassed anymore. Creator still with the bigger bank as far as the minerals go, but he doesn't really have the gas. And gas is a very important resource at this stage in the game. Without Vespene gas, that's a lot of mules, by the way. Oh my god. Alright. Oh, we're gonna land a couple more, sure. They just breathe on the command center and it immediately disappears. Anyways, Vespene gas is the most important resource here. Yeah, both players have an army that's roughly 7,000 gas in total. What exactly can Creator drop his minerals on? And that's, I guess, another thing for Protoss in the late game that's a little shaky. Zerg in the late game, if push comes to shove and they only have minerals to spend, what are they gonna make? They're gonna make queens, right? Very nice overall unit. Overall as in, like, good against everything. Like, it's good against basically every unit that exists. Especially when they can help each other. Terran, if push comes to shove, if they really need it, they can always go ahead and make Marines, right? Terrans don't really mind making Marines. As a matter of fact, I think they quite enjoy it. What are Protoss is going to do, though, with 5,000 minerals? What are you gonna do? Make photon cannons, I guess? Make zealots? Sure. That's it. Another tactical nuke flying across the map. They don't have an easy mineral dump in the late game, is what I'm saying. Like a good mineral dump, that is. They have easy mineral dumps, but nothing good. Anyways, that's why he's not really too concerned with losing all of this stuff. Obviously, he doesn't want to lose any of that, but it also doesn't matter that much. That was mostly just a means to an end to try and mine out these simulators. Now the fight is going to start happening here at the bottom of the map, though. So Spirit has won the fight over here up north. And he's going to celebrate over here as well by dropping down a whole lot of mules. But what about this over here at the bottom of the map? Yeah, no, these command centers can be denied over and over and over again. This is a big deal, though. This is a very big deal. Because Protoss has mined this somewhat, but not to the same extent as Terran is mining this one over here. So in the end, in a split map scenario, even if Spirit doesn't get to mine this one, he would be a full base up on his opponent as far as mining goes. Or maybe not a full map, but or a full base rather, but like a very significant portion of one. And that's big. So despite the fact that he's been mining a lot slower than his opponent, despite the fact that he hasn't had as much money in the bank compared to his opponent, he ultimately does end up with more of a bank. Later in the game, but more of a bank. Nexus goes down right now, but it's a very ambitious Nexus. Protoss needs to secure this low ground in order to pull it off. I think Spirit is once again thinking of tactical jump. But of course there's going to be recalls available. One move I guess that Protoss could make is to do a big recall towards the top section, but that's another mineral dump right here for Spirit. That's a lot of missile turrets set up. They don't need pylon power or whatever, so it's a bit faster to produce. There goes... Oh. You see the shadow there? The shadow just idled for a little bit. I think that's how rockets usually work, right? That seems about right. So we're getting to the point, by the way, where neither player really has any workers anymore. I mean, Spirit still has quite a few, but we're definitely now getting to the moment where he wants to get rid of the ones up north. He doesn't really need them anymore, just the ones in gas. Creator has already been getting rid of most of his workers as the game progresses. So we're getting to the point where both players are basically purely army supply. Creator, by the way, has spent his gas. Like, that was it. He's got 100 gas still coming in. Or he's got 100 gas in total, and he's got 44 gas a minute coming in. But that's really nothing to write home about. How many nukes has Spirit used at this point? A lot. Yeah, so one nuke was lost. We don't actually know exactly. It would be nice if there was like a nuke counter. I don't know if any of the StarCraft 2 interface people, any of the guys that make the interface of StarCraft 2. You see that idle animation? That's so weird. Anyways, it would be really nice if we had a nuke counter. I know there's a little number right next to the nuke, but I also know that it's not accurate. It would be cool to see the nuke value. I would actually like to have a, like we have army size, we have income advantage, we've got all of that. It'd be nice to see the nuke value over time in games like this. There's been a lot of games where I did wonder that. Have those tactical nukes been worthwhile? Well, I think in this game it's safe to say yes. A lot of it, though, was, I guess, static defense being destroyed here at the top section of the map. And again, that's just minerals that Creator really doesn't care about. Yeah. I think it's hard for Protoss here to secure this base, but he's managing it right now. He's trying his best. We need, like, as many photon cannons as we can afford. Yeah, just as much static defense as we can fit in that little power circle. Alright, Spirit, of course, realizes here that he needs to be careful. He's once again grouping up. Whenever he scans like that and he's got his Battlecruiser selected, I feel like he's ready to jump. But he doesn't want to jump on top of static defense and storm and everything else. Okay, that's a Battlecruiser going down in exchange for a carrier. Actually a good exchange right now here, though, for the Terran, who probably is starting to realize that. Obviously, he doesn't have vision of how much of a bank his opponent actually has at this point in the game. Storm? Yeah, no parasitic bombs, no fungal growths. It makes the late game a little bit tricky, huh? Okay. EMP also a very powerful skill. Now, could Creator go for Zealot run-bys? That's a question here. I think he actually definitely could have done damage over here up north. He's had enough minerals here for 30 Zealots. Obviously, you can't make 30 Zealots here because he doesn't have the available supply. But would it be possible to harass some of this with Zealots? I think there's a lot of harassable space here. That's something that Zerg players do all the time. They will go and try and run by with Zerglings, even in the later stages of the game. And if I can be critical of Creator's gameplay, like I really like his overall game plan. He's doing an excellent job sniping units here. But this is a very susceptible run-by location over here, right? But the same can be said for the main. Spirit has not been forced to remake any of that, and it's not like Spirit has that much money either. He's got 1,000 minerals here, which is nice and all. Obviously, the Battlecruisers can jump for the base defense too, but I would really like to see some Zealot run-bys at this point, because you're not going to add Zealots here to your main army, and we have 35 supply of... There we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Not on the planetary, though. Don't send... No. Not that planetary is irrelevant, dude. Okay, we're gonna send it on the... Okay, nice. Yeah, okay. Now, let's send it in on the planetary. I mean, the planetary will die. Would have been nice to do that like 3 minutes ago. Then there was still some mining happening here. I mean, the gas obviously is nice. Spirit actually has a little bit of that. Creator once again maxed out right now, but with a little asterisk next to it. Although I do think this is really good, though. Yeah, just dragging the Terran army away from that position at the front. I think that's absolutely critical. Both players still tickling at each other. Observer, don't lose the Observer. Ay. Yeah, this could have happened minutes ago. This could have happened a long time ago. Can't burrow your Zealots, though. Another thing that Protoss players don't have access to. That StarCraft 2 players would definitely... Well, I mean, I don't know if they would mind. But Protoss players would not mind having something that would allow them to hide their Zealots. Although I guess they can just run away. You can also recall it, but... Look at that, by the way. That is a funny little look right there on that pattern when all of those... Whoa! When all of those Tempest... when all of those Tempest grouped together like that. He was trying to catch the Ghost over here, but getting some SCVs instead. Creator did get this base, though. I actually did not expect he was going to be able to get this expansion. I'm a little surprised that Spirit has not been more aggressive here, although obviously he's been trying. He's very low on minerals. I think he actually spent too much money on static defense and a little bit too much on command centers too. Yeah, he's still sitting on like a dozen better, or... Oh my god, here we go again, actually. Big jump over here. We're gonna recall all of those units towards the Mothership. It's not really that far away, but that was a really cool engagement. Tactical jump into mass recall from the Mothership. Tactical nuke right now, trying to intercept this path over here by those... Oh my god, careful now. Careful now. We're gonna try and pick up as many things as possible. Looks like Creator, though, has noticed the red dot. At least for the most part. Okay. Takes a little bit of a beating, but really not that much. Big drop over here as well with the mules, though. That's just a little bit of energy. Trying to mine out those minerals to the best of his abilities. Those minerals, though, are gone. And despite the fact that he does not collect them, those are still minerals that now Creator can also no longer harvest. Those minerals are permanently gone. Creator's army here is looking dangerous. Yeah, he's got a lot of supply. Spirit now also not really producing anymore. As a matter of fact, there's basically no minerals available for him anymore to mine. The only minerals available still on the map are the ones over here. And I guess 5 on this mineral field up north. Other than that, okay, there's also 260 and 100. Yeah, these should probably be mined out. Anyhow, very little mining in total in this map. So, Spirit probably wants to smash his piggy bank here and just build whatever he can afford. Probably some more Vikings here. I guess that's what I would do. Maybe another nuke or two. Once again, though, we're going to go for a big tactical jump here with those Battlecruisers. Recall towards the Mothership. That is such a cool interaction. And now a tactical jump off cooldown. Apparently it's time for Creator to go on the offensive. He snipes another one of those Battlecruisers. That's massive. Archon's right here on a tech move though. We do have the prismatic alignment being used, but here come all of the tactical, well, not the tactical nukes, all of the Yamato guns. Tempest trying their best to micro back, but that, I think, was Creator getting a little bit over-eager. That late-game fight is very difficult to take, and Spirit did not hesitate for a moment. In the end, it's our Polish Terran who obtains the victory over Creator in this long, drawn-out macro game. But that was really cool.